The body's reaction to fear, caused by an external source in the moment of crossing into unconsciousness, is unparalleled. The slowing of the heart rate, met with fight or flight dropping by to gift you an adrenaline dump, is a speedball that would make a seasoned junkie wary. It's a feeling that's alarming enough to make you wonder if you briefly took death's hand on the dance floor. I've never been a go investigate the odd sound kind of guy. Waking up to the loud crash from downstairs and Levi suddenly missing from bed made me wonder just how badly a leg would break jumping from a second-story window. The second question was how fast and far could I run on it? The audience watching from my subconscious screamed and pleaded with me to run away as I walked down the hall to head downstairs. With each step I took down the staircase, I stopped to listen. Although I didn't hear anything, I was more concerned about Levi hearing me. His return felt like a wild animal was let loose in my house. Something with unpredictable thoughts and movements. I've seen videos and pictures of parents reuniting with their lost children. Videos full of hugs and tears of joy. It kills me that I cannot be one of them. Something about Levi made me want to watch him, study him. When I reached the bottom step, I peeked my head around the walls to scan a lower level. Nothing seemed to be out of place. I stepped down onto the floor and outside the concealment of the stairway walls. I was committed. My teeth were going to crack at any moment under the pressure of my clenched jaw. The tension in my body stiffened my stride as I forced myself to move forward. I walked into my kitchen and my body responded as if Arctic temperatures burst through my home. The kitchen was destroyed. Every cabinet and drawer were wide open. Food was all over the floor, crystallized with broken glass. Standing in the middle of the chaos was Levi, mouth agape, panting heavily and staring at the ceiling. "Levi?" I asked. The word coated my tongue with a thick layer of rust. It was the first word I said to him in 25 years. I wasn't sure if I liked the sound of it coming from my mouth. Levi was unresponsive, his gaze fixed to a single point on the ceiling. His chest violently quaked as the cadence of his panting escalated. Like father, like son, I was helpless. I traipsed through the field of glass and put my hands on Levi's shoulders. He was ice cold. I called his name, trying to snap him out of whatever was stealing his attention. I shook him, hoping it would bring him back. My voice went hoarse as I yelled into his little ears. I pulled him close to me, his soft body up against mine, bringing me back to days of laughter and smiles, when he would nestle himself between the safety of Kelsey and me. His dilated eyes went straight through me, staring at a great distance. Then the panting stopped. His pupils constricted and fixed onto mine. "Buddy?" I said. He opened his mouth wide, and from somewhere deep inside him, the most horrific scream reverberated off the walls and burrowed into my ears. My kneecaps came unglued, and my body recoiled right before I momentarily lost all motor functions. I collapsed, crashing into the shards of glass scattered on the floor. The lacerations to my exposed skin served as a welcome distraction from Levi's mania. The pain dampened the sound. I lied on the floor, terror-stricken by Levi's screams, the shards of glass working deeper into my skin. With each scream Levi belted out, I moved 1 inch back, the drops of blood pooling underneath me, assisting my glide. One after the other, the screams became an endless loop, and for each one, the shriek became louder. My body was overstimulated. The deafening of the screams, the glass in my back, the terror on Levi's face, I came undone. "Stop! God damn it! Stop it! Stop!" My screaming challenged Levi's in a momentary lapse of sanity. My whole body convulsed as I shouted and begged for the sideshow to draw its curtain. The sides of my fists beat the floor, adding to the collection of cuts across my body. Levi became blue in the face, his eyes starting to fade. His screams turned to breathy howls as his vocal cords began to give away. A wobble developed in his posture, and Levi crashed onto the floor. I continued to lay on the floor for I don't know how long. An emotional levee broke in my brain, and I burst into tears. I was hysterical. I had always hoped Levi would return and continue adding blessing to my life, but from the moment he arrived, his presence had only compounded the nightmares surrounded by his disappearance. I was tired, and my body was in a great deal of pain. I was breaking. I had no idea what to do. No course of action. Nobody to call. It felt like the only options I had were to call the authorities, contact a doctor, or get a fucking priest over to the house. All I wanted was the best for Levi, and each one of those people would inevitably pick up the phone and open their mouths wide enough for reporters to start prying their unwanted noses back into my life. The circus would return to town and cast me as the main event with 24-hour media coverage, ruining my already ruined life. I didn't want to become the next Netflix special. Although Levi had come back into my life by way of miracle, I had never felt so alone. I had nobody I could trust and could turn to in my desperate need of help. I needed Kelsey. There was no way she would know what to do in this situation, but we could be lost together. We could figure everything out as a family again. Levi deserved to have mommy and daddy back in his life after being away for so long. I scooped Levi off the floor, placed him on the couch, and spent the next hour picking glass out of my arms and the parts of my back I could reach. During that time, I relentlessly called Kelsey, sent texts, and left voicemails. She didn't answer any of my calls. I wasn't ready to be a single father. I could see it in my mind. Kelsey, Levi, and me sitting in front of the fireplace on Christmas Eve, watching movies and sharing stories. Laughter at the dinner table. Kelsey and I, arms around each other, listening to Levi tell us about his day at school. It was beautiful. After so many years of living in a dark shadow cast by grief, I finally had something to look forward to. My cheeks, no longer used for carrying the weight of a smile, became sore by the small grin the thoughts provided. Kelsey lived 5 hours away. I needed to get to her. Levi laid stiff on the couch. It was going to be a long drive for him. The longest drive he had ever been on was the one-a-month, 45-minute trek to his grandmother's, which always proved to be a grueling experience for him. My God, what she would have done to see her grandbaby just one more time. I went to Levi's room to pack him a light bag for the trip, just enough to get him through a few days at Kelsey's. Our first family outing could have been going out together to buy him a new up-to-date wardrobe. I had no idea what kids were currently into, and didn't want him to feel alienated among his peers. When I opened his drawer, the musty smell from his Power Rangers and Nickelodeon shirts hit me in the face. The nostalgia had me choking back tears. Levi called me from downstairs. He said one word. Dad? That was me. I was a dad again. I ran downstairs to see him. Hey, buddy. How are you feeling? I asked. Good. I'm hungry, said Levi. Are you? Okay, well, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go on a little trip, and we'll pick up some food along the way. How's that sound? We're going to go see Mommy? She's going to be so excited to see you. I don't think we should do that. I didn't entirely disagree with him. Mentally, I knew I was stronger than Kelsey, and the sight of Levi could have very well cost her a year's wage in therapy. Her mental health may have gotten far worse before it ever got better, but family always prevails, and I would have been her pillar of support every step of the way. Levi and I went back and forth, his attitude souring at the thought of seeing Kelsey. No matter what I said, he continued to debate and reason with me. When I scooped him up to put him in the car, he threw a fit, kicking and screaming. He begged me not to go. As we hit the road, the pleading didn't stop. It was just like Levi. He would never stop until he got his way, and I blamed Kelsey for spoiling him. If he had only known how many gifts his mother was going to shower him with, his attitude would have quickly changed. 25 minutes into the drive, and Levi wouldn't give it up. It was going to be a long 5 hours. I was running on no sleep, and I had the worst headache from my head bouncing off the floor. My back against the car seat drove each little piece of glass I missed further into my skin. 2 towns over was a McDonald's right off the highway, in a park a short ways down. My parents had taken me there on long drives to pump me full of food and wear me out to buy a little silence for themselves on the journey. I wasn't much better than Levi. After we got our McDonald's, arguably the slowest form of suicide and also the best tasting, we pulled into the park. It was just how I remembered it. Standing in the center was a huge wooden fortress full of slides, ladders, twists and turns, just waiting for any child to go in, get lost, and cut their chins open after knocking their heads a few times. Levi and I ate our food at a shaded park bench while we watched the kids play. I could tell he was getting restless, eager to move his little legs and explore. "Well, what do you think?" I asked. "I don't think this is a good idea. I think we should go back home." "Oh, come on, bud," I said. "It'll be alright." "Really bad things are going to happen, Dad." I couldn't help but laugh. The poor kid was as nervous as any child would be, having to go introduce themselves to a new group of kids. I picked up Levi and began carrying him to the center of the action. It was a great opportunity for character development. Levi needed to join in on the laughter and the fun. To get Levi warmed up, I pushed him on the swing. His hair blew in the wind as he let out bursts of excited laughter. At the apex of his climb, he could see the rest of the kids watching him in awe. Just watching how high he went. Also watching were the parents with their mouths wide open, likely sharing horror stories of kids getting injured by irresponsible parents, putting too much gusto into their pushes. After the swings, I brought him to the slide, the old steel back skinner. The kids and parents on the playground were motionless, watching Levi, the king of the playground, having the best time of his life. By the time Levi had gotten on the slide 7 or 8 times, I was exhausted. Being the old dad was a tough job and damn near impossible to keep up with. I climbed my way through the wooden fortress, dodging a few of the other children along the way, and grabbed Levi. It was time for old dad to take a breather and Levi to come out of his shell and play with the other kids. Levi was apprehensive as I set him down next to the kids. The kids all went silent and stared. "Go on," I said. "Introduce yourself." I gave Levi a little nudge. "Hi," Levi said reluctantly. "I'm Levi." The children stood there completely frozen. "Will you play with me?" Levi asked. In unison, like a well-rehearsed choir, the children began crying and yelling, sprinting toward their parents. Total chaos broke out on the playground. A parent running towards his child pointed at me and screamed, "Hey, you son of a bitch! Get the fuck away from my kid!" I was so taken back. Maybe the rules had changed during this hiatus of my parenting years. Perhaps it was unethical for a parent to be on the playground. The man continued to charge toward me. I grabbed Levi and put him into my arms. "Now, hold on just a second," I said. The man didn't listen. Like the bully of the playground, the man laid into me and sent me to the ground, crushing Levi. Levi yelped and began to cry. That bastard hurt my son, and I had waited far too long to have him back into my life, for some punk to cause him pain. The rage in my heart made the blood in my veins scald my organs. I got to my feet and stared the man in the eyes. In his soul, I saw every reporter who made my life hell, every detective that wanted to lock me up, every piece of shit that convinced Kelsey to leave. I reached my fist as far back as my old body would allow and cranked the asshole in the mouth. The man took a knee. As I swung my leg back, Levi begged me to stop. Feeling a man's head connect with your foot isn't what you'd expect. It's like kicking a soccer ball, if half of it was filled with a lead and the other half a dark warm liquid that will easily stain your clothes. I lost my boy once, and I wasn't going to let anyone hurt him ever again. I don't know what got into me, but I just kept kicking. I kept kicking until he stopped moving. The parents from afar held their shaking, traumatized children in their arms. They were on their cell phones pointing at me, describing me. It was time to go. I grabbed Levi by the arm and dragged him through the grass, running as fast as I could, without his arm popping out of its socket. He was scared. I was scared. We got to the car, put it into gear, and peeled out of the parking lot. "Dad?" You need to turn yourself in before more people get hurt, Levi said through a fit of tears. It's okay, buddy. Everything is going to be alright. That man tried to hurt you. I'm never going to let anyone hurt you again.